putting something else to do the work for you. Now, this is what corporations and the mega rich people do. They either get people to work for them or they get their money to work for them. So to keep their time free, they make other people or other things give up their time. So the owner of that company, although he has to manage things, his time is not explicitly linked to income. Now the super wealthy, what the super wealthy people do is, they get their money to work for them. And if your money works for you, it's even better than people, because people need to be managed a lot more than money. Your money doesn't need to be managed. Money just works. So if you have millions of dollars and you put them in a 10%, you can get a 10% return, or even a 3% return. You're gonna be rich on the interest without doing anything. So making your money make you money is great, but you can only live off this money if you already have a lot of money.
People ask me, is it possible to train your brain to help you make more money? And the answer is yes. So maybe I can share a story with you of how I started to train my own brain to help me make more money. And it started with setting some goals for the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to live. And my mentor, Walter Schneider, many years ago, was a very, very successful businessman. And he said, in order to achieve your goals, he said, first you have to have the clarity of what they are. So the physical actions, in addition to the mental rehearsal with affirmations and mental rehearsals, visualizations, is one of the best ways to start priming your brain to achieve the financial goals you have.
There are 4 main ways to getting money. You either trade your time for money, you trade information for money, you give a product or a service for money, or you put something to work for money. I'll say that again. We're gonna go through them one by one. These are the main ways that money will arrive in your bank account. Remember what I just told you guys, the 4 main things about cash, how it works, how you gotta attack it, identify where it's moving, etc.
So I said the key to building wealth is not how much you can work. You can't work your way to wealth. You gotta invest your way to. And all wealthy people, black, white, Asian, Chinese, they own a whole bunch of shit. The people who aren't wealthy is because they don't own nothing. You only have your money sitting in cash. If your money is just sitting in cash, realistically, you're becoming poorer every day. Some people actually fear success. Success comes with a lot, right? But until you can overcome that average reality that you live in, no matter what you're on, once you become comfortable there, it becomes average. Anyone can live in average. Everyone can live in mediocrity, right? Then there's those outliers who consistently push themselves to go to the next level. Knowledge is what gives us leverage in life. It's not about how strong you are. It's about what you can learn. And then how can you actively apply that?
And so I use something that I call the rule of 100, which is 100 primary actions, whether that's 100 minutes of content creation per day, 100 reach outs per day, $100 of ad spend per day. Like you have to pick one of them, but 100 per day, and you do that for 100 days, and I promise you you'll be making 6 figures if you do that. The process of making known. So how do you let other people know about the stuff you sell? So you have to advertise. There's 6 ways to do it. I covered 5 just now. Cold outbound, whether that's content, whether it's running paid ads, whether it's affiliates, word of mouth. There's 6 ways you can do it. And then once people engage with whatever advertisement you have to sell them. So advertising is the first skill, selling them is the second skill. And then product would be the third skill, which is the thing that you're ultimately advertising and selling.
Okay, so that gets us 6 figures. What gets us 7?
Doing the same thing consistently. So usually once people do it in the beginning, they're sporadic, they're not consistent with it. Just the act of doing the same thing every day usually gets people to 100,000 a month, which sounds crazy to probably people listening, but most people who think that's crazy also haven't done it consistently for an extended period of time.
No one now believes that it's possible. Once you keep passing that down, you start accepting the lower level. And then there's a few of us or a few people who say, nah, I'm an outlier, yo, like I'm about to go for it. And then whatever happens, I'm with that shit. You feel me? So for me, again, one of the greatest things that happened to me was my mother telling me like the world is raw and you got to get this shit how you live. But I also saw my grandmother be a legal entrepreneur. So I saw it from both worlds. The mansion, you build an empire, you build it brick by brick. Like you start with $25. And we have to understand, RIP to Nip, man, the great, he says something that's phenomenal. He said, we on a marathon. We didn't get into our situation overnight. Building wealth becomes a revolutionary act because now you start saying, I'm gonna go against what I was taught, right? And so I said, I started with $25. If you can do $25 a month, that's cool. If you can do $25 a week, that's cool. But what happens is, once you start understanding the power of how your money works, you'll start saying, yo, I don't need to do that. That 25 will now become $50. Guaranteed. That 50 will now become 100 because you're gonna start doing more with less. The person who works out and sees that they drop 10 pounds in 2 weeks says, you know what, I'm gonna go a little harder because I know if I can drop 10, I can drop 20. Possible changes the game. Instead of it being impossible, we now say, I am possible, or I'm possible. That changes the dynamic. The great thing about anything is you can't be great if you never go to practice. You can't hit 81 if you never get in the gym. So just get in the gym and then find somebody who can teach you. Be dedicated to understand the process. Warren Buffett said he reads 500 pages a day. That lets me know I got a whole lot more reading to do. I'm an audible book junkie right now because if he's the greatest investor, and if he's reading 500 pages a day, I don't know how he does it, but in my mind, if he's still learning, I got a whole lot of learning to do.
You can choose to stay stuck and bitter, or you can do yourself a favor by willingly forgiving the past and let it go, and then move on to create a joyous, fulfilling life. You have the freedom to make your life anything you want it to be because you have freedom of choice.
Make up your mind you're going to be a leader. You see, money is a reward received for service rendered. Be prepared to do more than you're being paid for. That is something that all successful people will tell you. Fall in love with what you're doing. Feel the demand. But build the image in your mind that you're worth it. Know what you are worth. You are God's highest form of creation. There is nothing on the planet that will equal you.
You can never create prosperity by talking or thinking about your lack of money. This is wasted thinking and cannot bring you abundance. Dwelling on lack only creates more lack. Poverty thinking brings more poverty, and gratitude thinking brings abundance. You can open your mind to the concept of money flowing into your life. If we want to prosper, then we must use prosperity thinking. I have 2 prosperity affirmations I've used for many years, and they work well for me. They'll also work for you. 1, my income is constantly increasing. And 2, I prosper wherever I turn. I had very little money when I started using them, but consistent practice has made them come true for me. Prosperity of every kind is drawn to me. Wherever it is that I work, I am deeply appreciated and well compensated. I live in a loving, abundant, harmonious universe, and I am grateful. I am now willing to be open to the unlimited prosperity that exists everywhere. Life supplies all my needs in great abundance. I trust life. The law of attraction brings only good into my life. I move from poverty thinking to prosperity thinking, and my finances reflect this change. I express gratitude for all the good in my life.